The phone buzzed on the cluttered desk, its screen lighting up with a name that stopped Cooper's heart. Ethan. 2 years of buried rage, heartbreak, and meticulously coded revenge algorithms vanished in an instant, replaced by a single question glowing on the screen. Do you still love me? Cooper's fingers hovered, trembling, as the New York skyline glittered through his apartment window, a silent witness to the chaos reigniting in his soul. Cooper Hayes, 26, was no ordinary programmer. A prodigy who'd turned lines of code into symphonies of logic. He'd built apps that millions used. His name whispered in Silicon Alley with awe. But 2 years ago, Ethan Caldwell, his first love, his former CEO, and the man who'd shattered his world, had left him with nothing but a cold email and a company scandal that pinned Cooper as the fall guy. Now, Ethan's text threatened to unravel everything Cooper had rebuilt. He leaned back in his chair, the hum of his laptop fan filling the small Brooklyn apartment. The code on his screen wasn't just a side project, it was a weapon. A program designed to infiltrate Caldwell Tech servers, expose Ethan's shady deals, and ruin the man who'd ruined him. Cooper had spent months perfecting it, his nights fueled by coffee and resentment. But that single text, those 5 words, cracked his resolve like glass. It hadn't always been like this. 2 years ago, Cooper was the golden boy of Caldwell Tech, a startup that promised to revolutionize AI-driven healthcare. Ethan, then 28, was the charismatic CEO, all sharp suits and sharper smiles, with eyes that could pin you in place. They'd met at a coding boot camp where Cooper was a guest speaker, and Ethan's bold pitch for his startup had hooked him. Sparks flew over late-night coding sessions, their hands brushing over keyboards, their laughter echoing in empty offices. By the time they kissed under the neon glow of Times Square, Cooper was all in, heart, mind, and soul. But love in the tech world was a fragile thing. Ethan's ambition outgrew their relationship. When a deal with a shady pharmaceutical giant went south, Ethan let Cooper take the blame for a data breach that wasn't his fault. The headlines screamed prodigy programmer's betrayal, and Cooper was blacklisted, his reputation in tatters. Ethan didn't call, didn't text, didn't even look back. Cooper fled Manhattan for Brooklyn, vowing never to trust again. Now, staring at Ethan's message, Cooper's chest tightened. He could almost hear Ethan's voice, low, warm, laced with that infuriating charm. Do you still love me? The audacity of it burned. He wanted to reply with venom, to unleash the code that would destroy Ethan's empire. But his fingers wouldn't move. Instead, memories flooded back. Ethan's hand in his during a snowy Central Park walk. The way he'd whisper, "You're my genius," after Cooper solved an impossible bug. He slammed his laptop shut. The city's pulse throbbed outside, honking taxis, distant sirens, the rhythm of a place that never slept. Cooper's plan was simple: hack Caldwell Tech, leak the truth, and walk away. But Ethan's text wasn't part of the script. Why now? Why after 2 years of silence? Cooper's mind raced, torn between revenge and the ghost of a love he'd never fully buried. He grabbed his jacket and headed out, the cool October air hitting his face as he stepped onto the Brooklyn street. The plan could wait one night. He needed answers, and Ethan owed him that much. His phone buzzed again. Another message: meet me at our spot. 9 p.m. Cooper's breath caught. Their spot, Washington Square Park, where they'd shared their first date, their first promises, He didn't want to go. He shouldn't go. But his feet were already moving. The park was alive with street performers and students, the arch glowing under soft lights. Cooper spotted Ethan instantly, leaning against a bench in a tailored charcoal suit, his blonde hair catching the lamplight. He looked older, sharper, but his eyes, those damn blue eyes, were the same. Cooper's heart thudded as he approached, his anger warring with something softer, something dangerous. "Cooper," Ethan said, his voice a low rumble. "You came. Don't flatter yourself," Cooper snapped, shoving his hands in his pockets. "What do you want?" Ethan stepped closer, close enough for Cooper to catch the faint cedarwood scent of his cologne. "I messed up," he said softly. "I've been messing up since the day I let you go." Cooper laughed, sharp and bitter. "You didn't let me go. You threw me under the bus to save your company." "I know." Ethan's gaze didn't waver. "And I've regretted it every day since." Cooper wanted to scream, to shove Ethan away, to run. But those words, that look, pinned him in place. He'd spent 2 years building walls, and Ethan was tearing them down with a single conversation. The code in his laptop felt like a ticking bomb, but so did his heart. He needed to know if Ethan was playing him again, or if, against all odds, there was something real left between them. The air between them crackled, heavy with unspoken history. Cooper's pulse raced as Ethan's words hung in the night, each syllable a thread pulling at the seams of his resolve. Washington Square Park buzzed around them, but the world narrowed to just the two of them, 2 men, 2 pasts, one impossible question. "I don't trust you," Cooper said, his voice low but firm. He stepped back, needing distance from Ethan's intensity. "You don't get to waltz back into my life and act like you didn't destroy it." Ethan's jaw tightened, but he didn't look away. "I'm not asking for forgiveness, Coop. Not yet. I needed to see you." "Why now?" Cooper's voice cracked, betraying the hurt he'd buried. 2 years. Ethan. 2 years of silence. And now you're here with some cryptic text. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, a nervous habit Cooper remembered all too well. "The company's falling apart," he admitted. "The board's circling. The investors are pulling out. And I realized the only person I ever trusted to fix things was you." Cooper laughed, a hollow sound. "So, this is about your company? You need my brain, not my heart." "No." Ethan's voice rose, drawing a glance from a passing couple. He lowered it, stepping closer. "It's not just that. I saw your name on a tech forum last week. Someone called you the best coder they'd ever seen. It hit me like a punch. I've been running from what I did to you, but I can't anymore." Cooper's chest ached. He wanted to believe Ethan, wanted to fall into the warmth of those words. But trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. "You expect me to buy that? After you let me take the fall for your mess?" Ethan's eyes softened, pained. "I was a coward, Coop. I thought I was protecting the company, but I was just protecting myself. I didn't know how to handle loving you and leading a startup. I chose wrong." The confession landed like a stone in Cooper's gut. He turned away, staring at the park's fountain, its water glinting under the lights. Memories surged, late nights debugging code together. Ethan's hand on his shoulder. Their shared dreams of changing the world. But those dreams had crashed, and Cooper had paid the price. "I'm not that guy anymore," Cooper said, his voice barely above a whisper. "You don't get to decide when I'm ready to hear this." Ethan nodded, his expression raw. I know, but I'm not giving up. Not on you. Cooper's phone buzzed in his pocket. A reminder of the revenge code waiting back at his apartment. He could end this now. Leak Ethan's secrets. Watch Caldwell Tech burn. But standing here, with Ethan's eyes locked on his, the plan felt less certain. He needed time, space, clarity. I'm leaving, Cooper said, turning away. Don't follow me. He walked back to Brooklyn, the city's noise drowning out his thoughts. At home, he opened his laptop, the code staring back like a loaded gun. He could destroy Ethan with a single command. But that text, "Do you still love me?" kept looping in his mind. Did he? The question was a wound, raw and bleeding. The next morning, Cooper woke to another text. Coffee at Bluebird Cafe. 10 a.m. Please, he groaned, tempted to ignore it. But curiosity, or maybe something deeper, pulled him out the door. The cafe, a cozy spot in Williamsburg, was packed with hipsters and laptops. Ethan sat in a corner, 2 coffees already on the table. His suit traded for a casual sweater that made him look unfairly good. You're persistent, Cooper said, sliding into the seat across from him. Always was, Ethan replied, a small smile tugging at his lips. I got your favorite, black. 2 sugars. Cooper's resolve wavered. Ethan remembered. Talk, he said, keeping his tone sharp. Why should I believe anything you say? Ethan leaned forward, elbows on the table. Because I'm done lying. The company's in trouble because of me, not you. I covered up the data breach. Coop, I'll let you take the blame to save face with the board. But I'm ready to come clean to the public, to everyone. Cooper's breath caught. You're serious? Dead serious. Ethan's eyes were steady. But I need your help. Not just your code, your brain, your heart. You were always the better half of us. The words hit hard, stirring something Cooper thought he'd killed off. He sipped his coffee, buying time. Could he trust Ethan? Could he risk his heart again? The revenge code was still an option. But so was something else, something scarier. A chance to rebuild, not destroy. Cooper's mind churned as he left the cafe, Ethan's words echoing like a rogue subroutine he couldn't debug. The Brooklyn streets pulsed with life, vendors calling out, bikes weaving through traffic, but all he could see was Ethan's face, earnest and vulnerable in a way Cooper hadn't seen in years. He wanted to hate him, to cling to the anger that had fueled his late-night coding sessions. But doubt was creeping in, muddying the clean lines of his revenge. Back in his apartment, Cooper opened his laptop. The revenge code glowed on the screen, a masterpiece of malice ready to dismantle Caldwell Tech. One keystroke, and Ethan's world would collapse, contracts exposed, shady deals laid bare. But Ethan's confession at the cafe had shifted something. I covered up the data breach. Coop, I'll let you take the blame. The admission was a crack in the narrative Cooper had built, one where Ethan was the villain and he was the wronged hero. He paced the small living room, his reflection flickering in the window. At 26, Cooper was lean and sharp, his green eyes carrying the weight of 2 years of betrayal. He'd rebuilt his life from scratch, freelance gigs, a modest apartment, a reputation slowly clawing its way back. But Ethan's reappearance was a variable he hadn't accounted for. Could he really help Ethan fix Caldwell Tech? Did he even want to? His phone buzzed. Another text from Ethan. I meant what I said. I'm coming clean tomorrow at the board meeting. With or without you. Cooper's stomach twisted. Ethan was risking everything. His career, his reputation. It wasn't a ploy. It was a leap. Cooper sank onto the couch, memories flooding back. Ethan teaching him to dance in their old office. Both of them laughing as they tripped over chairs. Ethan's voice, soft and sure, promising they'd build something great together. But promises break. Cooper had learned that the hard way. He grabbed his jacket and headed to Manhattan, needing to see Ethan's world for himself. Caldwell Tech's office was a sleek glass tower in Midtown, a far cry from the scrappy startup they'd launched. The lobby buzzed with employees, none of whom recognized Cooper. He slipped into a corner cafe across the street, watching the building like a hawk. That's when he saw her, Lila Chun, Ethan's CFO and the only other person who'd known about the data breach. She strode out of the tower, her sharp bob and designer coat unmistakable. Cooper's gut clenched. Lila had been the one to push Ethan to scapegoat him, her cold pragmatism cutting through their team like a blade. If Ethan was serious about coming clean, Lila would be a problem. Cooper's phone buzzed again. Ethan, I'm at the office late. Can we talk? Against his better judgment, Cooper crossed the street and took the elevator to the 30th floor. The office was quiet, the city's lights sprawling below. Ethan sat at his desk, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up, looking more like the man Cooper had loved than the untouchable CEO. You shouldn't be here, Ethan said, but his voice was soft, almost relieved. You shouldn't be texting me, Cooper shot back, leaning against the doorframe. What's your play? Ethan, you tell the board the truth. And then what? Lila's not going to let you tank the company. Ethan's eyes darkened. Lila's out of the loop. I'm doing this my way. Your way got me blacklisted, Cooper said, his voice sharp. Why should I believe you've changed? Ethan stood, closing the distance between them. Because I'm not the same man who hurt you. I've spent 2 years hating myself for it. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to know I'm trying. Cooper's throat tightened. Ethan was close enough to touch, his warmth a dangerous pull. I have code, Cooper said, his voice low. Code that could ruin you. I could run it right now. Ethan didn't flinch. Then do it. If that's what you need. I won't stop you. The honesty disarmed Cooper. He stepped back, heart pounding. I don't know what I need, he admitted. But I'm not ready to trust you. Fair, Ethan said, his voice barely above a whisper. Just stay. Help me fix this. Not for me. For the people who still believe in what we started. Cooper didn't answer. He left the office, the city's hum swallowing his thoughts. Back home, he stared at his laptop, the cursor blinking like a heartbeat. Revenge or redemption, he couldn't have both. But as dawn broke over Brooklyn, he made a choice. He'd go to the board meeting. Not for Ethan, but for himself. The boardroom at Caldwell Tech was a glass-walled cage, its long table surrounded by suits who held Ethan's future in their hands. Cooper stood at the back, arms crossed, his hoodie a stark contrast to the polished executives. Ethan stood at the head, his charcoal suit impeccable but his eyes tired, carrying the weight of what he was about to do. Cooper's heart thudded, his laptop in his bag holding the revenge code, a silent threat he hadn't yet disarmed. Ethan's voice cut through the room, steady but raw. 2 years ago, we covered up a data breach. I let an innocent man, Cooper Hayes, take the fall to protect this company. That ends today. Murmurs erupted. But Ethan pressed on, detailing the breach, Lila's role, and his own cowardice. Cooper's breath caught as Ethan named him, not as a scapegoat, but as the genius who tried to warn them. Lila, seated to Ethan's right, went pale, her eyes darting to Cooper. He met her gaze, unflinching, but his mind was on Ethan. This wasn't an act. Ethan was burning his bridges for the truth. The board's questions came fast, sharp, accusing. Ethan answered each one, his voice never wavering. When Lila tried to deflect, claiming she'd acted in the company's interest, Ethan shut her down. We betrayed our team. We betrayed Cooper. And I'm done lying. Cooper's chest tightened. He'd come to watch Ethan crash, maybe even to pull the trigger himself. But this, Ethan's raw honesty, his willingness to lose everything, wasn't what he'd expected. The room grew quiet as the board deliberated, and Ethan's eyes found Cooper's, a silent plea in them. After the meeting, Ethan caught up to Cooper in the hallway. You didn't have to come, he said, his voice low. I didn't do it for you, Cooper replied, but the edge in his tone was softer now. I needed to see if you meant it, and Ethan's gaze was steady, hopeful. Cooper didn't answer. Instead, he walked away, needing air, needing space. Outside, Manhattan's chaos enveloped him. Yellow cabs, honking horns, the pulse of a city that never stopped. He found himself at Washington Square Park again, their old spot, the fountain spray catching the afternoon light. He sat on a bench, replaying Ethan's words, the board shock, Lila's defeat. His phone buzzed. A news alert. Caldwell Tech CEO admits to data breach cover-up. Ethan had done it. The story was out, and the fallout would be brutal. Cooper's fingers hovered over his laptop. The revenge code still loaded. He could still use it, could make the damage worse. But the fire in his chest had dulled, replaced by something he didn't want to name. Ethan appeared, out of breath, his tie gone, hair mussed. I thought you'd be here, he said, sitting beside Cooper without asking. You just tanked your career, Cooper said, staring at the fountain. Why? Because it was the right thing, Ethan said simply. And because I owe you more than an apology. I owe you the truth. Cooper's throat burned. You don't get to decide what you owe me. I know. Ethan's voice was soft, almost broken. But I'm hoping you'll let me try. They sat in silence, the park's energy swirling around them. Cooper's anger was still there, but it was tangled with memories, Ethan's laugh, their late-night dreams, the way he'd made Cooper feel invincible. He didn't know if he could forgive, but for the first time, he wanted to try. Let's walk, Cooper said finally, standing. Ethan followed, and as they moved through the park, their shoulders brushing, Cooper felt a spark of something new, not revenge, not love, but possibility. The next few weeks were a blur of headlines and chaos. Caldwell Tech's stock plummeted. The board ousted Lila, and Ethan clung to his role by a thread. Cooper watched from the sidelines, his freelance work keeping him busy, but his mind never far from Ethan. They met often in coffee shops, parks, quiet corners of the city, each meeting chipping away at the walls Cooper had built. One evening, at a small diner in the East Village, Ethan slid a USB drive across the table. This is everything, he said. Every email, every deal, Every mistake. I want you to have it. Cooper stared at the drive, his heart pounding. Why? Because you deserve to know, Ethan said. And because I trust you to do what's right. Cooper took the drive, its weight heavier than its size suggested. Back home, he plugged it in, the files spilling open like a confession. Contracts, internal memos, proof of Lila's schemes, and Ethan's attempts to stop them. It was all there, a map of the truth Ethan had hidden for too long. Cooper could use it to finish what he'd started, to bury Caldwell Tech for good. But as he read, he saw something else, Ethan's regret, his fight to make things right. He called Ethan that night, his voice steady. I'm not running the code. But I'm not joining you either. Ethan's silence was heavy, but he didn't push. I understand, he said finally. Just don't disappear. Okay. Cooper didn't promise anything. But he kept meeting Ethan, their conversations shifting from the past to the present, movies they liked, code they admired, dreams they still held. One night, under the Brooklyn Bridge, Ethan reached for Cooper's hand. Tentative. Searching. Cooper didn't pull away. I don't know if I can love you again, Cooper said, the river's reflection shimmering in his eyes. But I don't hate you anymore. Ethan's smile was small, hopeful. That's a start. They walked along the river, the city's lights painting their path. Cooper felt lighter, the weight of revenge lifting with each step. He wasn't ready to forgive. Not fully, but he was ready to try something new, something honest. Months passed, and Caldwell Tech began to rebuild, its new transparency earning back some trust. Ethan stayed on as CEO, his vision humbler but stronger. Cooper took on freelance projects, his reputation growing again. But he and Ethan carved out time for each other, dinners, walks, quiet moments that felt like a second chance. One autumn evening, in the same park where it all began, Cooper and Ethan stood under the arch, leaves falling around them. Ethan's hand found Cooper's, their fingers intertwining naturally now. I never stopped loving you, Ethan said, his voice steady. Even when I was too weak to show it. Cooper looked at him, the man who'd broken him and helped him heal. I don't know if I love you, he said honestly. But I'm here. And that's enough for now. Ethan nodded, his eyes bright with something deeper than hope, acceptance. They walked through the park, the city alive around them, their steps in sync. Revenge had been Cooper's fire. But this connection, honesty, possibility was his light. He didn't know where they'd end up. But for the first time, he was ready to find out. The world had tested them, broken them, but they found their way back, not to the past, but to something new. And in that moment, with Ethan's hand in his, Cooper knew he'd chosen right. Not revenge, not even love, but truth, the kind that sets you free.